With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
What can you tell me about... Okay, now we're actually getting into, like, the important stuff here. You have some money?
Voila, you're doing it.
You seem rich. Can I have some money?
Why, yes, I am rich. How much money do you need? Hopefully not too much. I couldn't bring all of it with me.
She's surprisingly nonchalant about this. If anything, your finally asking it has relieved some of the tension.
I would like 100 real.
That's a good sum. Not too small, not fantastically large.
She removes the notes and hands them to you. The paper is cold and oily to the touch.
Nice.
So, I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still.
I'm still getting my head around this whole money concept. You were just helping me out.
You're right, man, that donations are permitted under the Emergency Act, unseemly as it may be, as long as they're properly logged with the precinct.
Which he most certainly will do. Now, how else can I help the RCM
Dude,
today,
awesome.
besides supplementing its salaries?
What can you tell me about this strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
But wait, what if I want to hear about trade secrets?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
An octopus? I will slay it.
Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
Oh.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
Oh.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
Let's leave that alone.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
What is your role in this precisely?
I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
Okay.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
Interesting.
Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Do what now? A racist behemoth? Tell us more about this behemoth.
What can I say? The union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organisation now.
Okay. How are the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
He looks at his notes.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Aggressive. Okay.
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
What happened to Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to... How did he put it?
Here we go.
Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Okay then. Not cool.
Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
What are their demands right now?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
Seems like they have no idea about business.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the
What
board.
does that even mean?
It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines Group makes a decision about what? About anything really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
That's actually kind of funny.
They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution.
So what are you going to do?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
Call me tomorrow?
This checks out.
Tell me about this union boss, Mr. Clare.
Everard Clare is a
Nice.
man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
Hey. Is he that bad?
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Wait, there's two of them?
Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
What about the union itself, outside the Brothers Clare?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that.
Oh, it's not the meeting at 2100. It's nighttime at the bar, and a dude is going to show up there.
Organized
I'm
labor
guessing he's
at
gonna
its
be there for a
best,
while.
as they say.
I hope.
Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
Basically a socialist mob from the sounds of it.
Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers.
One more thing, you said something happened in the elections?
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
Some kind of extortion, probably.
Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Change the topic.
Of course. How else can I help?
So what can you tell me about the lynching?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
Remember when my partner told you I'd recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My lost badge is related to it.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
Yes. I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything. This world, this city, nothing.
Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Oh.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
How do I negotiate my way out of this?
She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her. Insinuate.
Surely there's some other way to demonstrate our law enforcement credentials.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Like what?
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Excuse us for a moment, madam.
Hey, psst.
Who, me?
Yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to start building communism again.
How come there's word on the street?
You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impale all people who have more than 25 real in their pocket, literally murder all human beings regardless of their political beliefs. That kind of stuff.
I haven't said anything like that.
Okay, not in so many words, but don't deny it. You're about to rip off that mask of social democracy and reveal the monstrous seven-eyed lamb of global communism that will devour and masticate mankind. Everyone can see that. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Or do we get right down to it?
No thanks.
Very well. I guess no one will build communism then. Tell the working man it's over, unless anyone has objections.
Sorry.
No objections. It's mathematically impossible to achieve a classless society. Everyone knows this. Anyone? Anyone else? There's no one? There's no one. Okay then, lie down and let the water carry you downstream.
Bye, communism. That was great. Oh my god. This is so good.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
How'd you hope it would go?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance and, not volunteer us to be her henchmen.
Really? I thought it was going so well.
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
We could just, you know, find my badge.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters.
The situation might have changed drastically by the time you locate it. Time is of the essence.
Okay.
You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
Okay. What do you propose, that we don't investigate the drug trafficking?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it.
Okay.
What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
I think it's good. Let's do that. Let's get back to her then. I think it's a great idea.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Tell me about this alleged drug trafficking.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samar and Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
Let me get this straight. The materials come from Samara to Revachol through the terminal?
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut.
And you want us to investigate?
Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
The lorries. Am I gonna need bolt cutters for this?
Unlikely, officer. I'm talking about the lorries. Once the ingredients reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers, well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they may be vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
Oh, Mini Monster. You should look for Julia whenever she stops by. She may have a good suggestion for a drawing tablet. Boatman, 81 months, just a few more to hit that 7 years. Thank you so much, Boatman. Appreciate your 81 months, dude. Thank you. Thank you. Why didn't you come to the RCM earlier?
We did. On more than one occasion.
Whoops!
Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
That explains some things.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
Yeah, okay, so apparently I have no clue. I guess we're 4 communist, 1 fascist, 3 ultra-liberal. So I guess chat's saying, like, these are, like, factions. So I guess some of the funny answers I've done have put me in a communist thing. I don't really like any. I guess moralist sounds kind of cool, but I don't even know what that entails. Ultra liberal sounds kind of scary. I'm not really big into fascism. Do ultra liberal, and we could see what. Oh, centrist is moralist. Okay, I do like. I'm kind of centralist in real life. I don't know, man. Centrist is not moralist, says Sunny. Huh. Does real life matter? Not in this game. No, not at all. Which is why I made you ultra liberal, because that would be funny. We'll just, you know what? I'm just going to keep picking the dialogue. And we'll just come across. I don't want to do communism. Yeah, I don't want to do communism, but we'll just keep going and see what's funny. We'll just wing it. Exactly, Phantom. We'll just wing it. It's no coincidence the lawyers are stranded there like that, is it?
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge.
Ooh.
The road company is a
Trixie.
partner of one of our subsidiaries. However,
Trixie was pounds. Trixie biscuits.
this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open the drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kitsuragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
What proof do you have the union's involved?
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
Okay, makes sense.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
Oh.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves. Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
Okay.
Yes? Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something.
We're gonna go with what Kim said, though. We're gonna use this information and hold it over her head.
It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
You seem smart. I need somebody to give me a lowdown on this reality we're in.
This reality.
Yes, reality is your side case. An experimental side case.
I'm conducting a personal investigation into the world I find myself in. This sounds so Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I love it.
How truly curious. A sort of philosopher detective.
My theory is that this inquiry into the nature of reality will ultimately converge with our murder investigation. They're really just one and the same.
Are they now?
A deep synthesis. I'll assist you however I can then. Go ahead. Ask.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
Where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Baby.
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
I'm a disco holdover myself.
Aren't we all?
She refers to your corresponding ages.
And what is this Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour. North of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
You mentioned a sea. What sea is this?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
Are we near the ocean?
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water. The Insulindic.
Known to the early Revacholians as Les Immensités Bleues, the blue immensities. Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
Tell me more about Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
What's the name of this island?
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a
Hey,
pebble,
Progener.
a smoothed-over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the River Esperance. We're in the delta of this river on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her and to humanity at large.
Okay, then what's Revachol?
Revachol?
Revachol.
Revachol is what you call a city,
And what kind of city?
the great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
What makes Revachol great?
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
What are y'all talking about in chat? Okay, but who built this city? Was it built on rock and roll?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed.
When was Revachol built?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
And why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
Why here?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
So we're an unimportant part of an important place. Oh, so we're pretty much at the center of the world.
Oh, we're quite a way off. About 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Ah! Look to the sea.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
Where are we?
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
They all seem real, but something is wrong. You feel like a kid looking at stickers on the fridge. Truvant, the apricot company, World Games 34. You can almost see your hand reaching out for them. Scratch the... Oh, dude, I'm totally doing one of these. Boom. Let's do it. What do these lines represent? Am I selecting them somehow, or like what does this mean? Lines just look cool. Oh, it's just a visual. Okay. Okay.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
Didn't I spend my point? I did. Okay.